Welcome back to Community News and Review on 1230 WBZT, the Palm Beaches Talk Station. I'm Michael Woulfe, and here's your host, Phillip Bell.
Well, I'll tell you, we have one of the few handful attorneys that focus their practice. Well, she's a full-service firm. She does focus her practice regarding homeowner associations and, of course, condo associations as well. And she's very well known. She's a former magistrate. Actually, at one time, she headed up all the traffic court magistrates as well. And her name is Rhonda Hollander. And first of all, good evening.
Good evening.
Appreciate you coming in. I hope the traffic wasn't as heavy. And Rhonda, you're a lawyer, and you specialize in, not specialize, you focus in this type of law. And the association laws that were changing. Well, one thing you pointed out interesting to me is regarding receivership and regarding the rental markets and how associations are slow to change. And why don't you explain to our audience what you actually mean by receivership?
Receivership is really a neutral party who comes into an association to salvage the assets, basically. And the asset in any collection of money can vary, but in associations it's typically a unit. It's the only asset they can recoup their money on. So since these banks are taking, I don't know, anywhere between 4 and 8 years to foreclose, it takes, it put associations into a really bad situation. So the only real relief they have right now is to try and get a receiver to come in, salvage the asset, because a lot of these units are moldy, they're destroyed, they haven't been touched for years, people have abandoned them, air conditioners have been turned off, and this is in condominium buildings, so the mold spreads throughout the building.
Right.
So these people come in, they salvage the units, and they get them rented. And who it is who does it depends on the situation and how severe the condition of the unit is. But you can have associations come in themselves and have a board member, potentially go in, clean it, and rent it the next week.
That's such a smart move, rather than just let it sit there and get worse.
Well, the problem is that in foreclosures, the end goal for a foreclosure is to take the unit anyways. Meaning you're going to take title to the unit. But at the beginning of January 2013, the 3rd District Court of Appeals in Miami entered a ruling that said if you take a unit association, you're now going to buy that debt. So if you had $10,000 of money owed on that unit from that owner, and you took title to that unit, you now have to pay $10,000 in debt.
Wow.
Because you're buying it. Plus you have to fix the unit. And then if the bank takes title 3 weeks later or 3 months later, because you have no control over what the bank's doing, at that point, you also just bought all the renovations you did for that unit, because the bank's not going to pay you anything more than 12 months or 1%. And the federal law just came out saying, absolutely, they're not paying you a dime more. So what choices do associations have anymore? They got people who are disappearing on them, because we're Florida. I mean, everybody's transient. You know how many people go back to South America or Europe, and you have no idea how to get hold of them. You can't collect on them individually. So the only asset you have to collect money is the unit. And in mitigating for years and years, which we've always been doing, now the legislature and the case law has said you can't do that anymore. If you do that, you're going to hurt yourself even more. So in 2013, I kept thinking, well, the only solution is to try and get a receivership, because the statute actually has on the very bottom of the collection provision of 718116 that the court has the discretion to appoint a receiver. So I started doing it.
Very good. And who ends up with it, though? Is there any guarantee? Is there still that risk that the bank will take it away?
Well, they're going to. A receiver doesn't take title.
Okay.
A receiver comes in and takes possession of the asset to salvage it for the purpose of helping the creditor gain back their losses, which is what we're doing. And ultimately, if the bank puts it up for sale in 3 months or puts it up in 6 months, this way the money that went in to get the receiver and file the complaint and get access to the unit and fix the unit can all be recouped from whoever takes title.
Right. That makes so much more sense.
I mean, let's face it, you're ultimately, if an association took title through a foreclosure, which is what they were doing for decades and decades, you would have to fix the unit in order to be able to rent it. But it wasn't worth it unless you kept the unit long enough to be able to make your money back, which is the purpose of mitigating. Well, nowadays you have no idea when the bank's coming in, and even if the bank or the third party buys it at a title, at a foreclosure sale and takes title, they don't want to pay you if you own title. If the association owned title during the time they were fixing it, The person who now takes title next says, I don't owe you any money for the arrearages, because you just bought the unit, you bought the debt. And oh, by the way, you owned the unit while you made those renovations, so you put money into your unit, and now you lost it. Tough luck, I'm not paying you for that either. So you got hurt in every which way if you took title. I mean, you still have to do it sometimes, because you can't do a receivership when a person is living in the unit, an owner is living in the unit. But if it's vacant or it's tenant rented, and the unit owner's taking rent anyways, and they're profiting, why shouldn't the association be able to recoup it?
Exactly, because homeowners associations have been hit so hard. If the bank takes it away and doesn't pay the assessments, a lot of them are broke because they have no money coming in.
And what's really bad about the condition right now is that I have a lot of associations, I teach a lot of classes, and I teach classes for the purpose of teaching people there's other options to foreclosures out there. And
we're going to take our bottom of the hour break, I'm sorry, and we're going to get more involved in this, and also how you protect from these high assessments that do get in there through what we're talking about. Now, those high assessments, that scares the heck out of me whenever I receive a letter from one of my homeowner associations. Mike?
Alrighty, coming up, we'll hear more about that. Also, we'll play for food. What a great idea. Trying to end hunger among children in North America. Donna Album joins us later on with more on that, and also commentary from John Album from the Album Insurance Group about Medicare fraud, a nightmare. You're listening to Community News and Review on 1230 WBZT, the Palm Beaches Talk Station.